We got a big blockbuster trade in the MLB. Here we go. Dalton Varsho heading from the Arizona Diamondbacks to the Toronto Blue Jays for Gabriel Moreno and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. This is I don't know how to feel about this. We're gonna get straight into this. Personally, I think the D-backs maybe could have gotten a little bit more, but we'll see. Obviously, Dalton Varsho, he's the Blue Jays see him as an outfielder, right? I know he used to be catcher. He can still catch a little bit. The Blue Jays see him as an outfielder. He's going to play outfield every day. He's going to take Lourdes Gurriel's spot in the outfield. Now, Gurriel was slated to play left field, and they had Kiermaier and slated in center and Springer slated in right. That's going to be a very good defensive outfield, regardless of how it lines up. Springer in left, Varsho in right, Varsho in left, Springer in right, Kiermaier obviously in center field. Obviously, maybe you can see Espinal or Kevin Biggio get a couple games in left field as well. But, oh my gosh, this is a, wow. Unexpected, and it is really kind of a blockbuster deal. It's a very massive deal because, you start looking at this and you look from the Blue Jays side of things. Moreno obviously has the full 6 years of control. And you look at Gurriel, and Gurriel still only has 1 year, though, so that's more of a rental for the D-backs. And then for the Blue Jays, they're getting Dalton Varsho, who, guess what, has 4 years of control. So he's through 2026 for them. Yeah, this one is, I think the D-backs are valuing Moreno, I think, a little bit higher than maybe some of us are. I think, because I'm using a baseball trade values trade simulator just to have the trade up. They have it as a moderate overpay by the D-backs, but also too, remember the D-backs influx of outfielders. They have a lot of young outfielders: Jake McCarthy, Corbin Carroll, Alec Thomas. They also did have Dalton Varsho. Gurriel, I would expect to DH a lot. Maybe he gets moved back into the infield. I doubt it, but you never know. I would expect him to DH a lot though next year. And I think that outfield for the D-backs is going to be Alec Thomas, Corbin Carroll, and Jake McCarthy, or whichever way they play those three, left, center, right. It doesn't really matter. But that's going to be their three outfielders. And you get Gabriel Moreno, who one of the top catching prospects in baseball, one of the top prospects in baseball in general. The D-backs are getting a guy for their future at the catcher spot. The D-backs have a very bright future. They have a lot of good young players, just like the outfield core. Now Gabriel Moreno. They have Jordan Lawler, one of their top prospects, the shortstop. They also get like a solid kind of veteran core in a sense in terms of like Christian Walker, Ketel Marte. I love Josh Rojas. I do love Ketel Marte too, but I also do really like Josh Rojas as well. At third base, they're pitching Gallen, who is good. Merrill Kelly is good. They could still use some more pitching, but the D-backs do have some talent there. I think they're a team that, if they could play surprisingly well in 2023, that D-backs team. A lot of young talent there. And it's going to be exciting for the Blue Jays. This is really just one of, those moves where they wanted a left-handed hitting outfielder. They looked like they went after Bellinger. It didn't happen. They did bring in Kiermaier, but Kiermaier is more of a defensive guy. That's why I was a little shocked to see Gurriel go, because I thought they were going to have Springer in center, Varsho in right, Gurriel in left, and then Kiermaier off the bench. But the Blue Jays have traded Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel Jr., 2/3 of their outfield. And it's not like their outfield's going to be bad. I think defensively, their outfield's going to be amazing. With Springer, with Kiermaier, with Varsho now, who was a Gold Glove finalist last year. That's going to be a very good defensive outfield. And then in the infield, Matt Chapman, arguably the best defensive third baseman in the American League, probably is. He's only there behind Nolan Arenado, probably in the whole MLB. Alejandro Kirk at catcher, Danny Jansen. I think Danny Jansen actually will catch a lot more this year than Kirk, and Kirk is going to DH actually a decent amount, which is why I think it's important to have a guy like Varsho who, although he's not a catcher, I don't think he's going to be like a catcher anymore. He's not a catcher anymore. He's an outfielder who can catch if you need him to. I think that's kind of Varsho. He's an outfielder who can catch if you need him to. With Kirk, Jansen, and Moreno, they were all catchers. Varsho is an outfielder who can catch. but he's an outfielder, and I think that's why the Blue Jays are getting rid of Moreno. And then Lourdes Gurriel, yeah, you look at it, they don't necessarily need him, I guess, if you are bringing in Varsho, especially if they're going to value defense with Kiermaier, with Varsho, with Springer. All in all, though, I think it's a solid deal. For me, the D-backs being kind of like my second team, I kind of wish they maybe would have gotten a little bit more back. But too, you know, they had these 4 outfielders. You figured one of them was going to go. And they got Peace back in catcher. There are so few catchers that turn out to be really good players. And like there aren't many catchers that are like elite, right? And Gabriel Moreno has the potential to be elite at the catcher spot. So bringing him in, he might be able to play from opening day in 2023. I'm not sure. I think there's a chance he could. And Carson Kelly there is a solid veteran presence there behind the plate as well. Yeah, that D-back team is gonna have a lot of talent. But the Blue Jays, they're really trying to win right now. But also, you know, Varsho's there for 4 years, right? I think Guerrero still has 3 years left. Bichette still has 3 years. Springer still has a couple years left on his contract. Alejandro Kirk still has 4 years. You know, so a lot of this core. Jose Barrios is locked in. Alek Manoah is locked in. Kevin Gausman's locked in. Chris Bassett is now locked in. You know, this core, you know, you even look at the bullpen, Jordan Romano, Eric Swanson, you know, all these guys are locked in long term. And it's, and even like Biggio, guys like Biggio and Espinal, you know, they're going to be there for a while unless they trade them. Obviously, they have team control. The Blue Jays are trying to win now, and they have a chance to do it, right? They failed last year. They realized that they need some left-handed pop in their lineup. Because right now, you're looking at their lineup, it's all righties besides Kevin Kiermaier and now Dalton Varsho. And Kiermaier, like, as good as he is defensively, he's not the greatest hitter in the world. So getting a guy like Varsho who can be finally you get a lefty bat in your lineup, like a guy who's probably going to hit in the upper half of the lineup potentially. Maybe not. Actually, I don't know where he hits in this lineup because it is a very long lineup. It's a very deep lineup. So I don't know where exactly they're going to put him in this lineup. They could put him lead off. They could put him in 2 spot. Maybe they put him in like the 6th spot. Maybe. I don't really know. But wherever they slot him in, he is a left-handed bat to break up that whole stretch of just like being all righties. And especially when Santiago Espinal maybe gets in the game because he hits right-handed. If Espinal plays left field and they slide Varsho's in right and Springer's in center, and now your only lefty is Varsho. So I think this is a solid deal. Fits the Blue Jays. The D-backs, I wish they would have gotten a little bit more, but it's not a bad trade either. You know, they're bringing in a catching prospect, one of the best catching prospects in baseball, one of the best prospects in baseball in general, getting a solid player in Lourdes Gurriel, who they could maybe even flip at the deadline if they're not winning, but this D-backs team does kind of prove that they are better than a lot of people think they might be. You know, Gurriel could be a solid piece for them as well. It is very interesting to see how it'll play out. All in all, I'd grade the Blue Jays a little bit higher out on this deal, but also, too, I still realize that the D-backs did have a surplus in young outfielders, and it did make sense to trade one of them, and that one ended up being Dalton Varsho. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. What are your opinions on this deal? How do you feel if you're a Blue Jays fan or a D-backs fan? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever we post. Check out all the Bleacher Brawls links in the description. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek, and I'll see you next time.